Hitting in MLB The Show is one of the toughest things to be great at, but it's one of the most important things to be good at. We're going to be looking at ways to cut down on overshooting the ball and snapping better to where the ball actually is, and having a better plate approach so that you're not kind of fooling yourself. Now listen, this isn't just a shameless plug on my channels, but I do stream on Twitch, and to be frank with you, I do a lot of hitting tips while I'm streaming. So I walk through my approach, I walk through my adjustments, what I'm seeing, how I'm doing things. So if you have questions, you can always catch me live. If you don't want to do that at all, I don't blame you. Feel free, leave a comment below. I answer every single question in the comments, I promise you. And I will get super in depth with you if you'd like in the comment section as well. I'm here to help you get better at the game. So without any further ado, let's go get better at the game. What we're going to be looking at doing is our hitting settings. These are mostly personal preference, but if I could give you any recommendation, I would recommend a decently bright PCI at around 90% transparency. You could probably get away with about 80% if you need to. A color that you like. I would get rid of the outer PCI and only keep the inner and center. You know, the top level players, they only keep center PCI because they know that hitting the center of the PCI, either one of those three dots, are the most important things they can do. But I tend to find that the inner PCI gives you that nice in-between of having a reference point while also having a decent sized cursor that you can work with. The next thing we're going to look at here is our hitting view. A lot of people like strike zone, so I'll show you that real quick. The reason why people love strike zone so much is you're really able to get close to the pitcher and see his release points. So like his release points up here, and that PCI is nice and large, even on legend difficulty. For me personally, I like zoom because I like to see the hitters load, and the PCI size, while smaller, really doesn't bother me at all, and I tend to see the release point a little bit better that way too. So for me personally, I'm a zoom kind of. All right, now let's get into actual PCI control and what things you can do. So for me, what I like to do is pinpoint where my weaknesses are. Personally, especially early in the game right now, I'm having an issue with the up and in corner. No matter what side or hand it's being thrown, I'm having a little bit of a tough time adjusting to the high ball pitch. That's because I'm very good at hitting the low to medium level pitches. So anything over from up here to down here in this box that I'm going to show you now, anything there, I tend to hit very well. So I have to cover my weak points. By doing that, I'm going to actually anchor my PCI. So I tend to like to anchor up and in because I know that if I get an up and in pitch, I don't have to jerk my PCI. One of the #1 tips I can give you for PCI placement this year is to make slow movements. You can see on Legend that just doing the circle around, like, it's so easy. This thing is so fast, right? It is moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. But I'm not going to be able to hit the ball consistently because if I try to flick to something, I'm either going to be way over the top of it like that, or because the PCI is so quick, I might find myself shooting underneath it like that and snapping to a corner. So how am I going to make those adjustments? Well, I'll show you. If you can make shortcuts, that's the way to do it. I tend to use a claw grip format, right? So I'm going to hold my thumbstick like this, which allows me to have a lot less movement. I can kind of control better, I can pinch in, and I can have a slower moving PCI, and that goes a long way for me personally controlling it. You may not like that, and I know some people who like to go right on top of it, because putting your thumb directly in the middle right on top allows you to have a bit of a slower movement. A lot of people I know really like that method in particular, so give either one of those a shot. If you're finding yourself shooting to the corners too quickly and you're getting underneath balls that you should be hitting because they're middle to kind of lower part of the zone, but stuff that you should definitely be driving for extra bases. What I like to do is cover my weak spots, which right now in this game at the moment is the high stuff. I like to keep my PCI a little bit higher, and that's because I'm overshooting too much, right? Just like that. I can have slow movements on this and be able to snap to a ball and not overshoot it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm giving myself more time to cover the plate. And because my PCI movements are a bit slower, it allows me to time up the ball better. I mean, we're on legend difficulty. I'm out in front of everything. So I know that I can trust my hands. My timing is going to be fine. All I need to worry about is timing up the PCI properly. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is get a little bit more on top of the ball and come down on it. And yeah, I might get on top of the ball sometimes, or I may not get low enough, but that's okay. I will take that trade-off as opposed to popping everything up. And if you have the vice versa issue, what I recommend doing is the same thing, but starting your PCI lower. So if you normally start here, maybe give it a shot down here and come up on the ball. Giving yourself that more distance to go will prevent you from popping into those corners too quickly. Personally, I'm not somebody who can hit with the low PCI nearly as well as when I'm sitting up, but if you're somebody who's constantly getting on top of the ball, it's a nice adjustment you can make in order to get yourself going. I really think anchor PCI this year is really underrated. So I'm somebody who really likes to cut the plate in half. So if I'm looking for an outside pitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor my PCI in the up and away corner, because it allows me to make lower movements and allows me to cover that outside. I'm already cheated outside. Does that leave me more open to the inside pitch? Sure. But the PCI is so fast that it's easy to snap down and in, or it's easy to get to the inside pitch because it moves like lightning. I mean, really, if I flick, I'm going to overshoot just like that, just a basic flick, and I overshot that. But if I want to hit that middle pitch, all I have to focus on is a slow movement. But if I can catch myself getting fooled here, then I can easily adjust in. And you can see there I'm sitting outside. It's an easy adjustment inside, a little flick, and I just hit a home run. So if that's what I'm doing, that's how I'll adjust. Same thing if I want to take away the inside pitch. It's the same thing. Tacked up and in. I'm going to keep my PCI a little bit higher, and I'm going to snap down to a ball. Because I have so much speed on this PCI, I know I'm not going to get beat. I know that I can flick to where I need to go in a worst case scenario. The place it does leave you most exposed is when the ball comes in around right here. But that's just something that we're taking. And here's a good example of a pitch that I adjusted to with a slow movement. I didn't really overshoot. I didn't flick to it. I just trusted the process there. And sometimes, yeah, you're going to get fooled. That's just baseball. It is what it is. But for the most part, because I'm sitting up and in, I barely ever have to jerk my PCI. And I think if you can avoid jerking the PCI, you're going to find a lot more success in this game. And in my opinion, the best ways to do it are to anchor to some of your weak points. Or if you're going to cut the plate in half and you're going to sit inside, anchor your PCI, because you're going to have that cheat already there. You don't have to worry about snapping up and in. I can slightly move to the up and in pitch because I'm already looking for it there. So I don't have to worry. All I have to worry about is my timing. And so as you can see, it makes it easier and easier for me to make slow movements. And slow movements are the thing that's going to help you the most. As you can see, I'm completely taking away that inside corner. If he goes outside, well then okay, boom, I can still get to it. I can flick to it. I can move quickly to that. So think of it like reverse. As long as I'm anchoring inside, I make slow movements on anything that looks inside. If I see a pitch away that I'm going to get fooled on, then I can flick to it. And I find a lot of times this helps me from moving my PCI too much, right? Like that's a decent line drive. Yeah, it's an out, but that's a decent ball for a pitch that I didn't have my PCI on at all. And that's an easy adjustment right there. So those are the kind of things we're looking at when we're hitting. We want to make short, quick adjustments. We don't want to get caught shooting into the corners because you're sitting middle and you can't adjust to anywhere quick enough. It's important to use those anchors to your advantage. Maybe the top of the top players aren't using anchor, but you're not a top of the top player, right? You wouldn't be watching videos like this if you were a top of the top player. And you can see plenty of times naturally showing you that I'm going to miss, but I'm also not going to get beat in certain areas. Like you saw, I'm not getting beat down and in. I'm not getting beat on the inside corner. I'm not going to get beat on the away corner. But like right there, because I'm sitting outside, yeah, I got beat there, but I certainly didn't strike out on an 0-2 count, right? I put that ball in play. Maybe I get a sac fly out of that. Maybe he makes a misplay. You just don't know. So that's my biggest tip for you right now for the PCI. I'll come at you soon, probably next week, with a timing tips video where we'll look at how we can read pitches out of the hand and how we know what's coming so that we can time it. But for now, this is all about PCI placement and making good habits for yourself, because having good habits are so important, and being able to kind of already have that cheat spot and being able to sit up and in this case, and knowing I can take away any of the inside stuff with quick short movements, and when I need to get outside I can flick, really opens up my confidence level. I know I'm not going to get beat kind of thing. And there's one where my PCI isn't real great, and yeah, it's a fly out, but on a lower difficulty, I might get a double out of that, or maybe I get a cheap home run. It doesn't matter as long as I have good habits and I'm slowing myself down. I think the biggest thing when it comes to PCI is just slowing yourself down, just not getting too anxious. It's okay if you miss by a little bit, because you're looking for overall consistency, and you're not going to be consistent if you're constantly flicking as hard as you can, or you're way overwhelmed and you're moving too much and you're guessing too much. Don't do that. Just have your anchor set so that you know I'm not getting beat on the inside corner and you can flick outside, or vice versa. I'm not getting beat outside and I can flick inside. Either way, just make sure when you have your PCI anchored, you're looking in that spot. You're always looking in that spot. You are making sure that you are not getting beat outside. You are making sure that you are not getting beat inside. So that way, when he does throw something in a different spot, it's easy for you to make an adjustment on, because you've already taken away half the plate. So hopefully that made some sense to you. Once again, I can show you things better live and in person. You can catch all that twitch.tv/Mr. Gravy, 2 A's and Gravy. Hopefully this video helped you. And as always, happy hitting.